Greetings, fellow armchair Imagineers. Any debates? In celebration of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 and the month of May the 4th, tonight's space slate includes the following: Best Guardian Song, Best Dave Filoni Star Wars Moment, and which Disney franchise do you retheme the Space Mountain? Without further delay, time to board the Bowie, crank up the tunes, and take a star tour to nowhere in particular as we enter the arena. In this corner, he's wielding a laser sword and dancing like Kevin Bacon, because soon he's gonna be a biological father. It's Laserdude.
I like to correct. I'm dancing like Kevin Canadian Bacon. So.
How true. And in the opposing corner, his chosen profession makes him a slimy, double-crossing, no-good swindler with an ego the size of a planet, an accuser, an inquisitor, a force, emphasis, to be reckoned with. It's Rohith Dhar.
Hello there.
And joining me on the tribunal is Tiki and Jacob Weil.
Greetings, everybody.
Hello. I've been downgraded from the production nook, and I am currently just on my phone.
Yeah, or Disney's downsizing everyone.
Right.
But on the other side, we're trying out a new format.
So it's not all bad. So, fellas, how we doing tonight?
Mm-hmm. Doing great.
Feeling cosmic.
Ooh.
Spacey. All right. So, I guess without further ado, let's go over some rules. Let's refresh our players as well as anyone watching and playing the home game on how this works, because it's been a while. We kind of do this on a monthly basis, so a lot happens in a month.
Squeezed it in pretty much at the very end of May.
Thanks for highlighting that, but yes. So, we got 3 rounds. Within these 3 rounds, the way it works is you're going to reveal your pick. You're going to give an opening statement in which you say all the good glowing stuff about why you have the best possible answer. And then you're going to fight it out in which you're going to say why the other guy has the worst possible answer imaginable for this question. Of course, as always, and very appropriately, R2 here is the bell. When he speaks, I don't want to hear any more. I want both of you players to shut your yaps while we, the judges, in our fancy flowing robes, we deliberate. We vote on who we agree with out of you two yahoos, and we're going to award a point to whoever we like more, based on what you say. All right, at the end of 3 rounds, and we present you both, because, we appreciate you being here. We want to give you something nice and shiny, kind of like a nickel not named Philip, but instead a cosmic coin. Of course, the cosmic coin is the obvious one, so we went for broke on the name. Cosmic coin, the way it works, you flip it, your choice. Lands heads, good news, you get a point. Lands tails, womp womp, so sorry, you lose a point. Hidden in one of our merry rounds is the Skywalker Silver Piece. See, we saved the fancy title for the hidden coin. The Skywalker Silver Piece, the way this works is, it's hidden in one of our rounds. It will be offered to the winner of the round it is found in. And let me put it this way, gentlemen. This coin will be flipped.
Oh, I remember.
It's a good thing it's not a sand dollar.
It's true. Okay. So, as a new exciting feature of our little game, the penalty phrase. The way this works, folks, is there are some there are some coins in this world that you find are just extremely lucky, and some that are just like the worst possible luck imaginable. When a certain word, phrase, name, place, you name it, just like it could be any of those things, could be more than one, could be none at all. It could just be messing with you guys. For all you know, it might not be a penalty phrase at all. It might not even be said. It might be said many times. Who knows? I might have said 3 times already. Anyway, so if one of you were to spring this landmine, you'll be hit with a coin in which nothing good happens. It lands heads, it's going to be bad. It lands tails. Oh,
It's gonna be worse.
yeah, you guys, trust me. Listen to me. Don't let it land on tails. Okay, if it lands on tails, just run the other way. Okay. Okay.
Got it.
Very good.
I don't know how I'll run from an online debate, but got it.
And I will be keeping an ear out for the words.
Yes, we'll be checking in with Jacob as if he were the weatherman of your fates.
And keep in mind, it's any time after the round begins. Even in between rounds, you are not safe.
To quote Barry, starting now. All right.
So basically, remember every single word you say after this point, so you know which words not to say.
Yeah. Of course, speed around, things get crazy. We're taking audience questions, so folks, if you are watching, we'll be gladly taking your questions. Ideally, try and keep them kind of space and/or cosmic themed to Disney, but we'll be taking questions all the same, and we will we'll use them, and you get to judge who made the better argument and who gets the point. All right. So, first to 5 points wins the game, gentlemen. Do you understand the rules as I have explained them to you both here this fine evening in a galaxy far, far away?
I do.
No, start over and do them all over again.
All right,
no,
so
I'm
there's
good.
3 rounds, and we're gonna.
I'm good.
Okay,
Like, good evening, fellow armchair imagineers.
not that far back. Okay. All right, Jacob. Cue the randomizer.
The randomizer. All right.
Rando.
Cueing the random. As you can see, I've got the names written here in alphabetical order. Time to randomize. See who
Rando
goes.
Rodriguez and Lazy Susan. Okay, let's see where we're going.
Who are you, the Joker?
And nothing changed because Laserdude's going first.
All right.
And let me close that. There we go. And
That brings us. Yeah, go on.
brings us to there we go.
All right, time for round numero uno. So, now that the book's officially been closed on Guardians of the Galaxy, at least in the James Gunn kind of like ushered in Guardians of the Galaxy. Who knows what's coming next? But in terms of the Guardians of the Galaxy, that makes us all feel all warm and fuzzy. It's come to a close, which begs the question: now that we have it all said and done, what was the best utilized song in all of Guardians of the Galaxy? I mean, it's all 3 movies and the Christmas special. All right. Laserdude, what say you?
Mine was "Come and Get Your Love."
All right. Rohit?
Mine was Brandy, You're a Fine Girl.
All right. Okay, Laserdude, dazzle me with an argument.
Well, when it came to Guardians of the Galaxy, nobody really knew what to make of this movie. I mean, before it came out, like people look at it as a classic now, but before it came out, people were preaching this as the downfall of Marvel. People weren't sure if it was going to be a comedy, if it was going to be super. I mean, from the trailers, they got a little bit of the tone, but they still weren't sure if they were going to buy it or if they were just going to find all the characters annoying. And so the movie opens up, and we see Peter Quill landing on a desolate planet that's been utterly destroyed, and you're like, oh, is this going to be a real serious scene? And what does he do? He puts on his headphones, he puts on the cassette tape and plays it, and on comes this song. And right from that moment, we have the tone set for Guardians of the Galaxy. We know that it's a cheesy, fun movie. The way that Peter dances all throughout the opening credits just leaves the audience roaring on the floor laughing and instantly liking this character, and he hasn't even said a word because we are just enjoying the movie because of the song choice, because of the actor portraying it, and therefore I think it is the best utilized song in all of the Guardians of the Galaxy movies, because I feel like all of the songs that came after was trying to reach the high that this moment started the whole franchise on.
Okay. Rohit.
In looking at various songs throughout the Guardians of the Galaxy trilogy and the holiday special, Looking Glass, the song Brandy, You're a Fine Girl, is the best utilized song across all of Guardians material because of a few things. One, this is probably the only song in which the characters within the Guardians trilogy actually have a dialogue and conversation about the song. The fact that in the opening of Guardians 2, the song is played and you see Meredith Quill singing the song as Ego's driving around in like sunny Missouri in the 1980s. The colors are vibrant, the vibes are great, and it's a fun song to sing to, and you're lulled into this feeling. It's like, oh man, like there's this like pure love that's just free, and it's just guy from the stars and Ego. And in Guardians 2, when that song is brought back and Peter's listening to that song, and Ego comes to him and he discusses about what the song means to him. He says that Brandy is Peter's mom and he's the sailor. That even if he wants to come back to Brandy as much as he could, his life, his woman is the sea. And upon realizing the extent in which Ego's committed to the sea, to his expansion, the song takes on a darker context to which, for Peter, he realizes that for his father, and thinking about him being this wayward, fun, adventure sailor, he is an individual that will sacrifice others for his own pure self-interest. And for Peter, and really the rest of the Guardians, their eternal lesson throughout these films is that they are the sailor that comes back to Brandy. That they're the sailor that comes back to someone that cares about them, that misses them dearly. Peter with his grandfather, Drax coming back to the familiar role of being a father, and Rocket, in some metaphorical sense, coming back to the high evolutionary and experienced all the trauma, all the memories, all the people, the ghosts that hung around him. It is the best utilized song because there's a thematic core that undergirds the emotional essence of the Guardians, which is of individuals, people that are disparate, that are going on to see the adventure, are learning to come back to port and come to the ones that they love, to their Brandy. And that is why Brandy, You're a Fine Girl, but Looking Glass is the best utilized song in the Guardians films.
All right, boys, dance off.
Here's the problem with your song choice, Laserdude.
Mhm.
It's a very obvious choice, and you haven't really
Absolutely, it is.
No, but it's not really the most.
It's the right choice.
It's not the right choice. It's the choice that people who listen, that song, just because the song is like plays around the radio all the time. Popularity of the song does not speak to the utility of the song. You didn't really speak to how is the song utilized to.
Yeah, but Rohit, you talked your entire opening thing about the significance of what the inner meaning of it all, but not once do you talk about how really the song integrated into the movie, like the actual song playing. It's like it's just them driving down a road, and then it's just like and then it's over. Like I feel like that scene could have been replaced with any song, and it really wouldn't have mattered.
Love with Brandy, but you have to go back to sea. And it's like, oh, it's fun, it's romantic.
But it doesn't really set the tone of the Guardians franchise. Like mine hooks this audience into this weird world, this weird thing right off the bat.
The problem with Come and Get Your Love is that it's a song where it's like, oh, it's fun vibes. The thing is, Guardians, it kind of leads people to like the whole point of the Guardians franchise is that people come in, it's like, oh, it's fun adventure. But when you come out of the Guardians movies, especially watching from 1 to 3, including the holiday special, these are movies that have incredible emotional depth. These are stories of people who are disparate, who are wavered, that come back to the things that that they care about the most. And Looking Glass's Brandy is the most evocative of the thematic message of the Guardians movies, whereas Come and Get Your Love is just a song for the vibe.
The only way you get somebody to care about the actual, emotions of the characters is to actually like them first. And that is why Come and Get Your Love is the essential thing. It's the most memorable song. When everyone says, oh, name this first song that comes to your mind when you think of Guardians of the Galaxy, this is the one, because this is the one that got you to like the characters and hooked into the world. This is the one that drawed you into the world of Guardians of the Galaxy. Brandy's like, oh yeah, I didn't even remember what song that was. I can't even say.
You don't remember. It's referenced 2 separate times at key particular moments. It's the opening of the film, and then
the subtext of the song is actually more influential than the actual song itself, because you could probably put any of song in that moment and it would have been fine. Where you cannot put any other song.
I can't hear you two when you're talking at the same time, okay? Someone's got to give here, all right? So there's a little back and forth, gentlemen. All right. Yeah, Rohith, why don't you start, then we'll bounce back and forth a little here, okay?
All right. So the thing is, with Come and Get Your Love by Redbone, it is a song that's like, it provides a fun mood. It makes you bop their heads. But in terms of utility, Looking Glass's Brandy, it is utilized to underlie the thematic arcs that all the main Guardians characters go through all 3 films. Come and Get Your Love is just a fun song that is bookended at the end of the trilogy, but there's nothing about the characters commenting about the song. There's no characters. I mean, Peter dances the song, but the thing is, it's a private moment for Peter that, will eventually pass on to Rocket at the very end. But for Brandy, it's a song that has specific meaning to Peter's arc, and then in the grand scheme of things, the arc of the Guardians as a whole.
Well, here's the thing that I think Redbone's Come and Get Your Love really does well for the first Guardians film is it bookends both parts of it. When Peter is singing that song in the beginning, he's just singing it to himself. He sings, hey, come and get your love, but he doesn't actually have anyone around him that he cares about. He's just singing to nothing, and he's singing into a rat's mouth and just dancing around, but he's still having a good time, but he's alone. He doesn't have any actual love. But at the end of the film, where he has his family and he has his group of people that he's gonna make his own team and family, and they have bonded together, by the end of it, it's a good bookend to, it's just, hey, now he has his love. He doesn't have to come and get it or do anything like that. He has it. Where Looking Glass is Brandy, honestly, you could have just have them talk about the song and not needed that scene in the beginning of them actually playing it. You could replace that with any song of that time period, any song of that era. You could put right there in that part and then talk about the song Brandy later. It really wouldn't matter. It doesn't, as I say, it's better as a talking point than actually being implemented as a song into the movie. It could have used that with anything. They could have talked about a painting that was about a sailor going away from his love. As the actual song in the movie, it's kind of a little flat.
As a song, it's incredibly well utilized because the whole thing for Peter and his mom is that they share a love for music. And with the song playing on the radio in the opening Guardians 2 and her singing to it, it reminds the audiences who haven't seen Guardians 1, or it reaffirms people who've seen Guardians 1, like how Peter's mom is just a free spirit that loves music and just sings any song on the radio. And ironically, the song is representative of her and Peter and Ego's relationship, but the dramatic subtext is not fully realized to Peter's mom until it's too late. But Peter's the one to realize it later on. And so this song that's like, oh, it's fun vibes, the context, the way in which James Gunn flips how you feel about that song and how the characters themselves regard of it is magnetic. Come and Get Your Love isn't a song that's really I get the bookend, but it doesn't feel that the characters are seeing themselves or viewing the relationship through the lens of the song. Ego, in his conversation with Peter, talks about the song. And because of that, like relation thematics, it affects Peter. It also reflects the characters being the sailors that go back to Brandy, that go to something that's outside of being a guardian, outside of just being an adventurer. And I think that's sort of what makes these Guardian films special to a lot of people, is that these are characters that go on their adventures and learn to come home after the adventure and live the rest of their life. And I think that you wouldn't have that kind of seed thematically without Brandy, without the whole notion of a sailor that is obsessed with the sea, and having the audience learn to try to be the sailors that come back home, come back to port. And, you know, the come and give the love thing. There's a lot of other songs that talk about love. Like the first song in Guardians is not even Come and Get Your Love. It's Since He Sees I'm Not in Love. And so there are other songs about love that can be put in. Brandy, in terms of what the story is within that song, is highly relevant to Guardians 2, highly relevant to the arcs that all the characters go on. So in terms of, you know, between a song where it's a fun time, you know, people can dance to, versus a song in which it speaks to the core of one of the main characters, and by extension, the rest of the gang, Brandy is the winner.
But what you're only looking at is the inner symbolism. I think what you are forgetting entirely is iconicness. And when it comes to scenes that have lasted and are iconic, Peter dancing around on a desolate planet while the world is, just being revealed for the first time, and he's just having a great time amongst all this misery and destruction, is a lot more iconic than them even talking about Brandy. Sure, it goes good for the character. Hey, I let you talk for 20 minutes. Let me finish. All right. So the inner meaning, or the iconicness about the song, is a lot bigger than Brandy. It's just for Brandy, for most people, all that's gonna whiz by them. It's just the talk about it. So, where the song itself is iconic. Now you cannot think about this song "Come and Get Your Love" without thinking of Guardians of the Galaxy. You cannot even, you play that song, the first thing that pops into your head is Peter Quill dancing on the planet and Guardians of the Galaxy as a whole. Flipping, when How It Should Have Ended did a parody of it, they played a version of Come and Get Your Love because they knew that's what people were thinking about. Nobody cares about Brandy. Nobody thinks about that song in relation to the Guardians of the Galaxy movie. When it comes to which song has bigger impacted the franchise and everything a part of Guardians of the Galaxy going forward, this was the song that did that. Your song is something that's nice, and sure, it has some inner meaning, but as a big iconic statement for Guardians of the Galaxy, this is the song that set the tone for the whole franchise. This is the song that sucked everyone into the movie. This is the song that is the most affiliated with Guardians of the Galaxy, even more than the Ooga Chaka song, from the trailer. This is a song that people think of with Guardians of the Galaxy, and that's why it is the superior song.
This is a category about utility, best utilized song, not the most iconic song, the most popular song. You've not demonstrated throughout this entire debate why Come and Get Your Love is the best utilized song. I have walked through the thematics. I walked through how the story parallels with the story of Ego and Meredith. We're talking about utility. Utility is beyond iconography, beyond popularity, beyond recognition. It is about how is the song best utilized to enhance the story, enhance the themes, enhance the characterization, and enhance the overall emotional arc that binds and surrounds these Guardians movies. Come and Get Your Love is a song that is on a Billboard chart. The song Brandy is a song that is the ethos, the creed of the Guardians franchise. That is utility in a nutshell. That is enhancing, that is reinforcing the beating heart of a franchise of misfits. Nothing more, nothing less. It's more than vibes, it's the feels.
Yeah, but you say utilize...
Yo.
Hey, I didn't get to respond.
Well, blame the robot. All right. So, time to deliberate. Tiki, why don't you cast the first vote?
Okay, this was tough. Oh man, I really do think this was back and forth. And Honestly, Laserdude, if you would have responded, then Rohit would have had it. Like it truly is kind of a situation of like, okay, like Rohit talked last. But honestly, with Rohit's last response, I really was going back and forth, but he kind of hit the nail on the head with the wording, and that's sort of what I was looking for. I believe if the wording of this question was more to do with like, what is the best awesome mix selection or something like that, something with awesome mix, I probably would have given the point to Laserdude, but I think Rohit did do a solid job of arguing why it's more significant. And also, I feel like Rohit had some solid arguments about like how, you know, there's not really a ton of substance to come and get your love as far as like how it thematically ties in. So that's where I'm leaning.
All right, here's where I'm coming down. It's really interesting because I was going back and forth, but believe it or not, the last moments of this debate I felt were most crucial. I think Rohit, he was really winning me over. Here's the thing: so I was really on Laserdude's side, and then Rohit was really kind of coming down there after he laid out the brandy of it all, and how it kind of comes back and everything. And I think he had Laserdude on the ropes, but at the very end, I think Rohit accidentally hung himself. I think what happened was all the traits that Rohit laid out that Laserdude was not demonstrating, I actually feel he was making a case for Laserdude's points versus his own in terms of like the thematic. When he was relating it to the Guardians as the misfits, that was all that reminded me of all the points that Laserdude was making earlier in the debate about how it's kind of Peter looking for looking for love, and ultimately he kind of found it by the end, and how we do go full circle with it within the trilogy, starting with that, and then to the next gathering of it with the new assortment of Guardians, and then Rohit made this point about essentially about the breakdown of like the significance, like what we learned from the Brandy song and how we break it down. I just feel like basically the way he said it, I guess to summarize it, the way he said it is that the Redbone song, I think he was lobbing some criticism there about it being like kind of a billboard song and everything. And I think that was kind of a smokescreen. I think what he's basically saying is like that's it. We went for like the one versus one with the thematic significance, in which I think Laser did demonstrate thematic significance, despite Laser demonstrating thematic significance, despite Rohith Dhar just having it on lockdown about what he was looking for. I don't think Rohith Dhar was at all wrong about the wording of the question, but I think Laser kind of, whether by luck or not, I think he stumbled into actually fulfilling the whole utilization, just not as eloquently as Rohit did. But still, I think Laserdude gets the point in my view.
Ooh. I guess it's up to me to tie break then.
That is correct, sir.
I just said my pick for this probably would have been the chain. From Guardians 2 as well. That probably would have been my pick for this.
Which is used twice in that movie as well.
Yeah, but in opposite meanings too. That's what I would have leaned into.
Mm-hmm.
So.
For me, I honestly kind of strongly feel that Creep and the Dog Days Are Over are like two of the absolute best utilized songs in the series, especially as bookends to each other. But go ahead, Jacob.
Yeah, this is I'm kind of like following with what they're doing. This is a really back and forth one, except for that one point when they were talking over each other, in which case I couldn't even barely understand what they were saying. Like, you guys need to remember, let each other talk. This is a debate. but yeah, you guys both made really good points. I mean, like, obviously Laserdude leaning into both the iconicness and the utilization, whereas Rohit was leaning into the utilization and the thematics overall. So it's like both utilizing, but talking about the utilization, but I guess it comes down to the iconicness versus the thematics, and that's where the tough decision really lies. but overall, I'd say considering how Laserdude tied it into the whole, like it's the song that opens, like it introduced us to Peter, seeing this desolate world, but he's still having a good time, and then closing on it, the Guardians came and got their love. So I'm gonna give the point to Laserdude.
All right, first point. It was Laserdude.
Trust me, it was like it was very, very close.
It was, no, for sure. It was.
Honestly, I didn't think I was winning that one.
For what it's worth, I love it when Rohith Dhar gets all legal in kind of in the ring. By the way, so I was really, part of me really wanted to give it to Rohith, but then I was kind of that revelation, like, I mean, he's kind of, I don't know, I think he was a little more bark than bite in that one, but he was right. So, it's kind of to a degree. He was, he's laying out really nicely, but I think maybe too well ultimately.
Yeah, I mean, like, don't get me wrong. You guys both did great on that one.
Yeah. Very solid fight. Could have gone either way.
Yeah.
All right, so update on the word. It hasn't been said.
I'm gonna check my pocket for the coin. I didn't find it.
Okay. Keeping it, not leading us on again this time.
Yeah. All right. Round number 2. What is? Sorry, let me like gild the lily a little bit here. So Dave Filoni, love him. He's the guy in the hat. Dave Filoni. He's been keeping busy these days, and he's become the new face of Star Wars. Usually, the new face wearing a cowboy hat and wearing his Trapper Wolf costume, even when he doesn't have to.
It's like Dave, put away the costume.
Hey, am I leading this show? Well, yeah. Did I create Ahsoka? Well, yeah. I mean, am I allowed to pick my own clothes? I mean, sure. I'm wearing the Trapper Wolf costume.
Yeah.
I know it's not really how it happened, folks. We're going to will that into existence one of these days. We're going to see Dave Filoni wearing that hat and that costume. We're going to make a meal out of it.
Yeah, watch our Mandalorian Season 3 streams to discover the origin of that joke.
Okay, in all seriousness, though, it does beg the question. Dave Filoni's getting out. There's a lot of talk about, let's just make him the full-on head honcho, which essentially he is. I think technically in quotes, certain people are still above him, but the point being, what is the best Dave Filoni Star Wars moment? And the thing that Filoni had involvement with that's not like a pre-existing Lucas thing that is like full-on, like Filoni, and not the sequel trilogy, obviously. So basically, the Filoni-centric Star Wars stuff. All right. So Laserdude, what was yours?
I had the final meeting between Darth Maul and Obi-Wan Kenobi on Tatooine.
All right. Well, tell them what show it's from, too.
And from Star Wars Rebels.
There you go. Okay. Rohit.
I have the introduction of live-action Ahsoka in Chapter 13, The Jedi, in Mandalorian Season 2.
All right. Okay, Laserdude. Dazzle me with laser swords.
This is, in so many ways, the best lightsaber duel of all time, and it's only 3 moves. The setup is we got Darth Maul meeting up with Obi-Wan Kenobi. He's been searching for him. He's been finding him. These two has been at dueling fates since the beginning of Episode 1. Or at the end of Episode 1, I guess. But anyways, so they stand together. They battle with words at first, and then after Darth Maul figures out that Obi-Wan is here to protect someone, Obi-Wan realizes that he has to take him out. He has to destroy this foe once and for all. And this whole story is told in nothing but battle stances. We get Darth Maul who readies his battle stance. And Obi-Wan at first does his classic pose with the 2 fingers forward. And Darth Maul's ready for it. And then Obi-Wan changes stances. First he goes to his Alec Guinness pose, but then he changes up and goes into Qui-Gon's stance. And this triggers Maul. Maul looks at him and he sees, oh, that's Qui-Gon says. That's a Sith. I'm going to do the same move, the exact same move that I did to kill his master. At that moment, Obi-Wan has already won because he put the bait in. It's too succulent for Maul not to bite down on this. He's like, I'm going to kill this man with the same move that I did to kill his master. And what does he do? He tries it, and Obi-Wan cuts through his lightsaber, slicing him the opposite way he did last time, vertical wise instead of horizontal. But then Maul falls to the ground, and Obi-Wan in this moment shows him why he's the better person, because he cradles this man who killed his master, killed his love, did so many terrible things to him, and he holds him in his arms and allows him to die and gives him the dignity, showing that he's forgiven him. He's moved on. And Maul is a man who's perpetually not able to do that. And this gives him the perfect death, the perfect send-off. And it's just the best scene in all of Rebels.
Okay, Rohith.
And throughout Filoni's time in Star Wars, one of the biggest contributions to the Star Wars canon that's beloved by a lot of Star Wars fans is Ahsoka Tano, Anakin Skywalker's Padawan, and throughout all the Clone Wars. And there's always been an excitement, a desire for her to show up in live action in some way or some form. And in Chapter 13 of The Mandalorian, titled The Jedi, written and directed by Dave Filoni, the scene opens up just sort of like a classic samurai film with smoke, with enemy troops trying to seek out this lone figure, and comes in this hooded figure swiping away at the enemies, and she pops up with her hood open, and you see in full live action glory Ahsoka Tano. And not only is it just the opening, but throughout the episode, in terms of just how she's interacts with the Mandalorian Din, in terms of her movements, in terms of her performance as acted by Rosario Dawson, a fan cast favorite. Ahsoka Tano in the Mandalorian episode The Jedi is extremely well realized. It's a clear, dramatic 180 from how Ahsoka Tano was depicted in most of the Clone Wars. Though in Rebels, it is she is building up to that more mature, more wary warrior. And what's amazing about this is just the majesty, just sort of the poise that, the camera focuses on Ahsoka Tano, her demeanor when interacting with Din. And in this episode, she, through her interactions with Grogu, was able to, reveal his name. All of this is just the best of Dave Filoni, because it's all harkening back to his classic influence of samurai. It's emphasizing and focusing on a character that's beloved to him and beloved to a lot of fans. And the way it's shot, it's very much harkening to the things that George Lucas looked to when he was making Star Wars samurai movies. It's just the level of artistic, poise, the level of, just clarity in what Filoni wanted to do in bringing Ahsoka to live action is just there. And I think this just represents that Filoni isn't just the guy who, does great animation. He also is just a great live action storyteller. And the fact that, Ahsoka Tano herself has her own live action show that's going to come out in August this year, all stems from her introduction in the Mandalorian episode, The Jedi, and just that whole story of that episode.
Okay. All right, let's wield dual lightsabers and have a duel of the fates, gentlemen. Let's fight it out.
Here, in terms of your moment, Laserdude, my thing is that Darth Maul as a character, in him being brought back in the Clone Wars and having this long convoluted arc, the fact that he gets killed out the way he does, I feel less I feel so bad for Darth Maul. If anything, I just feel like, oh God, this character that's just been brought back and go through this long arc of him trying to get back Sidious and trying to get back Obi-Wan is over with. And what's weird for me is that moment happens in a show where Obi-Wan's not even a big factor. The show is Rebels, right? It focuses on the Ghost Crew and all that. And yet this moment is specific towards two characters who most interesting or most unique backstory isn't another TV show. So for anyone that's watching Rebels without watching say, Clone Wars or really much of the other Star Wars, this moment just kind of feels weird. It's like, these are not characters that I've been following for throughout that entire journey.
Rohit. Let me put that theory to bed right now. I have not seen Clone Wars. I have not seen. I've seen a few episodes of season 1, but I haven't gotten that far into it. And this scene still works. It works because the emotional core that these two characters are going at, of how Obi-Wan has moved past the moments of their past. He's let go of that anger of the past, and Maul is still hanging on to it. He's still holding on, and he, because of that anger, because of that he's been holding on to this whole time, just loses because of that, and he loses easily. Like, you want to talk about samurai influence? No bigger samurai influence scene is there in this, when it's just 3 quick cuts and then boom, the battle's over. Like, that is the samurai influence that you were talking about. You're seeing, it's just a lot of slicing and cutting, and it's fine, but it's like nothing special, where the emotion of the characters that they are all going through has been building to this point. And sure, it hasn't been from Rebels. The show Rebels has not been about Obi-Wan Kenobi, but that's not what we're talking about here. This isn't the best show. We're not talking about Mandalorian versus Rebels. We're talking about individual moments, and these moments, there's just no comparison. The emotional stakes that are bigger in mind, the surprise that it's only 3 moves, the shock and the feel, and the underlying thing with this battle stance changing up that just tells a story in seconds without saying a single word. It's just leagues ahead about Ahsoka chopping a few guys in half.
I think you're really discounting the fact that, like, for Dave Filoni, before this episode of The Mandalorian, he only directed one other episode of The Mandalorian, which was the Gunslinger episode. And seeing what he did in the Gunslinger versus the Jedi episode, it's night and day. I think when I'm thinking about the best Dave Filoni Star Wars, I'm not thinking just about the moment within the world of Star Wars. I'm also thinking about Dave Filoni. That's like the part of the equation, right? And I think Dave Filoni has very much been easily praised for being a great animator, great storyteller within the world of animation. But I think him taking control of the camera, him writing the script, and showing Ahsoka come out the way it is, it's very much it's taking sort of the conventions where you talk about like classic animated storytelling and putting it in a live action context. And what's great is just that, like, Filoni's using the tools that Lucas probably used and try to create the feel of a samurai film. And what I have issue with for your moment is that, like, because the point about you saying is like, oh, it's in these 3 moves. If anything, I think that's part of the problem why if anything, it's too short for me. I feel like for these characters, if you are saying that like these have these great histories, I feel like you need things to kind of marinate or saunter a bit. Whereas for Ahsoka, like her, slicing the troops and just coming about, it creates intrigue. It creates like, oh, who is this like cool character that can just come about and make her presence known and could credibly go up against the Mandalorian. For anyone that's watching the Mandalorian, doesn't watch any other Star Wars thing, that piques interest. That's like, oh, who is this cool new character? And I think there is still, like, I know you anecdotally can say that you felt for it, but I really feel like that I think that's part of the problem is that for Filoni Star Wars, sometimes he can get a little too insular, he can get a little too, insider baseball. For Ahsoka, when she shows up, the context of it isn't in a way in which the average person that's just watching the Mandalorian gets lost in it. Whereas I feel like your moment, it's not really the best Dave Filoni moment. If anything, it's evocative of the worst tendencies of Dave Filoni, where he gets a little too insular, gets a little too obsessed with like, oh, I'm continuing arcs from the Clone Wars. This is just, hey, this is a character I love. Let me do the best. Let me try to present him the best light possible in a live action setting to where a mass audience can receive her. And if they want to learn more, they can watch Clone Wars. But just the way she's presented is she's badass. She has a sense of awe that is clearly in line with how Jedi are supposed to feel when you counter them out in the wild. And for your moment, it's like, oh, it's 3 quick cuts and all that stuff. And it's like,
No, it's not just the quick cuts, Rohit. It's the build up to that scene. We got Maul who is wanting to. He's like, "Why are you here?" And he figures it out. And the look on Obi-Wan's face when he turns on his lightsaber, like, "I'm going to have to take you down," but he doesn't do it in hate. He's not doing it because he despises this man. He's doing it because he needs to protect Luke. And your moment, let's it's just a bunch of Ahsoka cutting people in the woods. And then it has one of my big pet peeves when it comes to Jedi. It's the fact that Jedi forget that they're flipping Jedi because like she's talking to this like evil ruler of this town, saying, "Leave these people alone." She has the Force. She could have yanked that person off that person didn't have the Force. They could no way have defended against that attack. You could have just pulled her off and then the battle's over. But no, you have 24 hours. No, kill her now. Come on. You don't need to do any honor thing. Other people are in danger.
I feel like that's a really minute, like that doesn't really focus upon just the way the moment is shot, the way that the dialogue interaction. I feel like for the thing is, it's like you emphasize a lot of the emotional thing, but I think what my issue is that like it's like a moment that is like a capstone to much of like other story that's not even in most of Rebels. It's in other shows, and I think there's just something to be said about Dave Filoni being too insular. That was a criticism that was lodged at him for some parts of the Book of Boba Fett. And I think with this, in this moment, in the way Ahsoka's introduced, I think it's the best because Dave Filoni, he is a student of George Lucas. And I think the way in which the scene is shot, in which how the character approaches, there's an air of mysticism. And the whole point about the whole Force, oh, she could do that. It's like Jedi aren't just like come in and take over. There's a pace.
She's not a Jedi. She said that herself.
Yeah, the thing is, she can. Yeah, and I know she says it, but that's part of the character conflict. Is that even if she's away from the Jedi principles, the way of how Jedi move and operate, are still in. You can't shake that. And that's kind of something interesting, on a character perspective. And for your moment, it's like, okay, Obi-Wan seems, like sad about doing this, but it's like we've seen Obi-Wan being someone that
his enemy with compassion.
No.
It's like, where is that layer of emotional in your scene? And so just to quickly reference, you were saying that 3 moves is not enough.
Like,
if it was a big flashing lightsaber fight,
let me answer your question. So, like,
all
I think
fine.
The way emotion. You go ahead.
Sorry. Now we can't talk over each other, so we are. But I was just gonna say, if you just made this a big flashy lightsaber fight, it'd be just like every single lightsaber fight we've ever seen, and it wouldn't have any emotional significance. Obi-Wan would just kill him, and then eventually, and it wouldn't be as good. The emotional significance of the character switching poses and luring Maul into that trap, feeling like, oh, I got him, and not learning from his mistakes, and Obi-Wan learning from the mistakes of the past and using that to trap him and cut him down. That is perfect storytelling at its absolute finest. Where your scene is just, she's trying to save a town, which we've already seen a few times in Mandalorian.
I think it really oversteps. Like the thing is that like the whole storytelling thing, it's kind of pretty cliche in the way it would go. Because how else would Obi-Wan like end the fight the way it did? Darth Maul doesn't show up in the sequel trilogy. The original trilogy. And so, like the way that the beats play out, like they may be played out decently, great, but the beats are the same. That's like you blob the criticism of universality. Like we've seen plenty of fights or plenty of ways in which a Jedi cuts down a foe that he should have like anger towards, but has compassion towards, because that's the Jedi way. This moment before becoming introduced, it's going back to the whole idea of the lone samurai that has this history, has this like background, and coming in the way to do the whole village. It's like there's something primal in that moment that goes back to the whole core of Star Wars, which is taking things from westerns, from samurai, and bringing it to a sci-fi context. Whereas this is like, okay, you have to have like you can appreciate it, and I'm not going to deny that you say you didn't appreciate this, but I think the average person, if they just watch this moment in isolation without any other context, it's like, okay, like they have a history, but I don't know what the history is. Whereas for Ahsoka, when she pops up, like, oh, this character's interesting. I want to learn more about the history of this character. I want to know more about their deal. And that's, I think, where
you don't learn anything more about her in that scene. Where this
have
scene
a lot of baggage, have a lot of context, and can reintroduce and can bring them to a wider audience in a way that respects the history, but invites like people to things like, oh, this feels like a new character. But for the true OGs, they're not a new character, but the way that they're introduced feels fresh and new. I think that's really
Answer me one thing. You said that we've seen scenes where Jedi has had compassion for their enemy before, and I've been thinking about that this whole time. I can't think of a single scene where Luke cradles the Emperor and says, "Shh, it's okay." I can't think of a single scene where any other time where the Jedi has defeated its enemy, they've taken a moment to have pity and compassion on their enemy.
It's common. Like it's probably in some episodes of Clone Wars and the comics or novels, but I'm just speaking.
Probably. So you don't know. So your statement was false.
But here's the thing: just for the moment itself, I just don't for what I consider about Dave Filoni as a storyteller, as a creative. I think he has great qualities and he has bad qualities as a storyteller. And I feel like this moment is kind of leaning towards his bad qualities as a storyteller, where it's like, hey, here's just this moment to continue on this arc for fans that probably haven't even watched the prior show, and it's kind of just a bit of a tone. If the moment he's done this, I have to think about if I want to showcase Dave Filoni's great skills as a storyteller. I think for the average person, if you introduce the Ahsoka Tano moment, it's like, okay, they really they can admire about how the way the shot is composed, the action is quick and it's efficient, and then when Ahsoka pops out, it's like, okay, their presence or demeanor just says so much, it invites so much interest and speculation. And I think that's what Dave Filoni does well, is that as in Star Wars, is that he shows things that have a lot of history in a fresh way and keeps people engaged, people interested. And that's what George Lucas did so well in Star Wars. And I think Dave Filoni following that model is what puts him at his best as a storyteller.
Let's talk about storytelling.
You're done.
Sorry. I can't hear R2D2. I can't hear him.
I know. Okay, that's all right. All right, Jacob, start us off.
No, this is another back and forth. You guys got really heated in this one.
Mm-hmm.
And it's I'm going into the tradition of giving my personal pick. I think I might have perfect. I think my personal pick would have been the final scene of Clone Wars Season 7. But that's beside the point. Both of you guys argued your points very well, I will say. But to keep a long deliberation short and leave the other guys, I'm going to deliberate. Laserdude gets my point.
Okay. I kept going back and forth. Again, I think the end, as it went on, just increasingly went back and forth. But I feel here's the thing: we have two really good Filoni moments here that are representative of the man, but in two very different ways. You look at Laserdude's moment; essentially, it's one of the coolest things Filoni ever did. Now, on the flip side, what we have as Rohith Dhar put it, something that kind of encapsulates, him basically the whole Padawan journey of George Lucas. Essentially, him kind of capturing what George Lucas was going for the whole time, and basically something that is a huge boon for for Filoni making the leap to live action, all this sort of stuff, and aesthetically what it means. So that's what we're dealing with, kind of a high point of the fandom and a high point of just kind of realizing the fandom, or making it a recognition of sorts. So it's really hard to pick between them, and the arguments were really solid. And basically by the end, I was very much on Laserdude's side, and then I was on Rohit's side when Rohit was bringing up the whole. Essentially, the biggest criticism I heard was about the fact that, well, this is more of a Rebels thing. This is it's in Rebels versus kind of a standalone kind of moment, which then I think Laserdude kind of walked back, and I think he kind of refound himself in that argument. He basically, Laserdude flawlessly argued the brilliance of the moment and what's going on there, but I kept going back and forth because as much as I was on Rohit's side, then I heard Laserdude make the point, oh, so you don't have any examples of when we've done this again. But then I think ultimately Rohit I think he bought it back, at least for me. He made some really good points at the very end. So I'm gonna say Rohit on this one by a very narrow margin. Rohith Dhar for me. So that makes Tiki the tiebreaker here.
Yeah, honestly, Dragon, you kind of took the words right out of my mouth. Like I was on Laserdude's side for a large chunk of this, but like that last statement by Rohit about the tying it all into George Lucas and sort of like Filoni recontextualizing old Star Wars stuff. It's really cool that in this sense he's recontextualizing something that he created that is now nostalgic. But I just want to say, guys, this has seriously been like maybe one of the all-time best first 2 rounds of a debate ever. Like you two are really going back and forth, but ultimately I do give the point to Rohit. But I want to make a note. I want to give the point to Laserdude so badly, just on the basis of the image of Luke cradling the Emperor and just be like, "Oh, it's okay." I am glad that I could stay muted because I was cracking. I had to contain myself. For some reason, that just got to me.
Wouldn't it be really funny if just Luke was very petty towards the end with the Emperor's just running there? It's like the whole like, "Oh, I'm afraid you're dying," sort of. I'm afraid it's quite fully operational.
You have a hole in your stomach.
Oh my god.
Another
You
Right.
don't have a clone, do you?
Cut the other Emperor in half. All right.
All right. Dragon, did you find the coin?
I'm so glad you asked. Because I have my trusty Guardians of the Galaxy knapsack, and inside that knapsack is a box. And oh, what a lovely box! It's a wrapped up gift. Oh wow, I'm gonna open this. Let me open it here. I'm gonna open. There's a lovely. Oh man, there is a beautiful card in here. If I read them, I'm gonna cry on air. There's a beautiful card attached to this gift. I'm sorry, I was genuinely moved by it. Now, let's see what the actual gift is. It's a cassette tape, no coin. Sorry.
All right. And Dragon, do you have anything you want to ask me?
No, not really. No, I'm kidding. Yes, I do have something to ask you, Jacob. Where's the
Right.
Jacob?
Skip him.
Was it said?
You guys really want to know?
A little bit, yeah.
Well, I'll tell you. Let me rewind. Let me go through a cosmic rewind. And yes,
Ooh.
Please be Rohit. Please be Rohit. Please be Rohit.
it was Grogu, as said by Rohith Dhar.
Ah!
Oh boy.
Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me?
I mean, technically, Grogu is not in the opening scene, Rohit, so you didn't have to bring him up.
Rohit, I had nothing to do with Grogu being involved in the words. I do
However,
not.
Tiki was invited to the meeting to figure out what the
Man.
secret word was, and he neglected
Man.
to show up. So
Man. All right, what's my fate?
Well, excuse me for having to get my little brother dinner, Dragon. I'm so sorry.
well, he could stand to lose a few meals. I'm just gonna throw that.
Oh
in there.
Jesus! Wow. Okay. Okay.
Whoa.
God, Dragon with the dark humor tonight.
Oh, okay. What's my punishment?
Well,
Oh, you'll
Funny-
find out.
we leave your fate. Instead of leaving your fate to the cards, instead we're leaving it to the coins.
Oh no.
All right, let's see. Well, okay, how's this sound? You want to flip it and then leave them in wait to find out how bad it's going to be? You want to do that?
Like, you want me to hide the stream and flip it?
No, let's flip it, but we're not going to tell them what the judgment is until we get to the speed round.
Oh,
I mean,
come
Oh my
on.
God.
Don't do that. Come on.
Yeah, let's not be that cruel.
All right. Okay.
Please be
It's
that
gonna-
cruel. I want him
if only for the
distracted.
sake of
I
it's
want
gonna
him
throw him.
distracted for this next question, so he's thinking about it the
Well,
entire
yeah,
time.
that's what I'm saying. Like,
All right. Okay.
I mean, I was thinking I could just hide the stream and flip it. But I won't do
So
that.
let's just get
hold
back
on. I'll need
ahead of this.
Okay, 3, 2,
Oh god.
1,
Oh god. Oh god.
0.
Heads.
Flip
Or wait, was it
it.
tails?
Heads.
Well, good
Wait, I guess it was
news.
tails
Oh
the
my
ones that
It didn't land on tails. Bad news. I lied about the heads tails thing. Heads actually were. I'm kidding.
Okay,
I'm kidding.
Blue Dragon. Do not toy with my emotions, okay?
Bro, be like,
No,
objection,
no.
Your Honor. I need that in writing.
Okay, either way, it's going to be bad. So I'm going to tell you what heads is.
Oh.
So,
Mm.
okay. Oh, you get the most annoying fate of any of these, by the way. You're going to really hate this. So,
Theme Park Priest says you should have known not to say group.
yep. Okay. Had he said the child, he would have been fine, by the way.
Yep, that is.
Or Baby Yoda.
Baby Yoda was.
No, maybe you actually would have set the trap off too. So the child was the only safe answer.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. Anyway, yeah. So here's what's gonna happen to Rohit. Rohit, right now you well, actually, the next point you win, you will only be awarded half the point.
Man, you know, enjoyed so much.
This was the fate. Sorry, I don't mean to be laughing too hard, Rohit. This was the fate that I got the first time I ever said the word.
That's true.
Condiment.
And I was just like,
No,
I was just like,
trying to say the word, man. I was just saying my thing, and then I said the word. It's like you're technically right under the trap. I just was doing my thing, and I actually went to trap.
Everyone remembers the Condiment King fiasco.
Oh my god.
Yep.
well, I just like I remember being like, why half a point? Just take away my whole point because I can't gain half a point. So, have fun with that.
Remember when you fell into it twice?
I felt targeted at that point. I felt like the other person should have had a word that was
how
targeted
dumb can
to him
Laserdude
too.
be? Let's find out.
No,
How dumb
Okay. Okay.
All right, let's.
Anyways,
Dragon, will I be needing the coin? Well, actually, yes. Never mind. That's
Yeah.
I will need the coin, so never mind. Forget I strike. Let's strike that from the record,
So
and
now
let's move on.
Rohit's gonna have to do twice the work.
Great.
And so, is it time, Dragon?
Time for the next question. Yeah.
There we go.
All right. Round number 3. So Disney, little secret, I'm sure none of you are aware of right now. Disney's kind of in flux right now. You know, they're not great, but they're figuring it out. Disney's, it's all sorts of retheming and overlays that we've always had. But I mean, Disney in general is always like they're changing stuff and they're running around like chickens with their heads cut off. So, or I guess the heads lightsabered off in this case. So begs the question: which Disney sci-fi franchise should Space Mountain be rethemed to, or I guess overlaid, or however you want to put it? All right, Laserdude, what say you?
I said, wow.
Yep. Rohit.
Guardians of the freaking Galaxy.
Only he didn't
say freaking.
He did. We all heard him.
You know. Can I retake? Can I give the? Can I take the other half away from Laserdude right now? Just because he's giving me guff. No, I'm kidding. Okay, we're good. Laserdude, go on.
It pays to watch Guardians 2. All right, sorry. No, shut up now.
All right, LD, hit us with it.
Okay. Well, when I looked up the ride of Space Mountain, because I never went on when I went to Disneyland, it wasn't there. The thing that I thought was the most thing that jumped out to me is it seems to be like a very fast ride. It's in the dark. There's a lot of build up to it. And so I thought, what would be the best thing to put over the ride that would have a whole lot of personality, a whole lot of fun stuff that you could do with? And the first thing that came to my mind was WALL-E, because I think WALL-E has a whole lot of fun variety that you can do. You could take the whole lineup and either do one or two things with it, make it look like the trashed Earth planet, make garbage everywhere. You can do that, or you could have it look like you're walking into a Buy and Large. Have like the screens come up as like Buy and Large, buy our overly expensive, often polluting products. You could go that route with it, and then you get on the ride and you're going up the thing. Buy and Large. Maybe you're on the Axiom. Maybe you're out on the the rocket as it's blasting towards it. Maybe you see a Wally and Eevee flying around you. I don't know necessarily how you do that. You could do it with animatronics. You could do it with maybe a digital thing. I'm not entirely sure how Space Mountain is done, but you could find a way to do that with them like flying all around the cart and stuff. That would be real cool, and it's a very fast-paced ride, so that you could have me going through stuff, and then I think that the whole overlay would work really well for that, because you could do it with the lineup, which is always a great thing when you can incorporate that into the ride as well. And then everything around you, you wouldn't have to change too much. It's still going into space. It's still that, but you can just make it that Wall-E theme. So you keep the essence of Space Mountain true, but you add a new dimension to it.
All right, Mr. Dhar.
Guardians of the Galaxy as a franchise would be a great addition to Space Mountain, because you just go on the ride and have the overlay be different planets that the Guardians have been to, which is Morak, Sandar, Nowhere, the planet Ego, Counter Earth, and even the fortress of the High Revolutionary. And you can have sort of transitions where, just in Guardians 2, where like Rocket and Groot and Kraglin jump through those like hexagon points and all that. You can have that kind of effect and have the lights just really going all wild. And what's really cool about the Guardians of the Galaxy as a Space Mountain ride is that you have kind of different vistas. You can have different like CGI characters like Rocket, Groot, Cosmo pop in and out, and have like those like cute, there's like interesting alien creatures from Iron Groot pop up. And I think what's cool about the idea of Space Mountain is that like you just kind of go out and explore through a roller coaster ride. And Guardians of the Galaxy is such a well-traveled, wide array of different locales and different visual palettes to kind of really soak in. And I think for anyone that like has really enjoyed, especially some parts of Guardians and Guardians 2, Guardians 3, just like the visuals just popping out, I think there's so much fun to be had in just going on this rollicking ride and just seeing the Milano, the Benatar, the Bowie just kind of shooting past in the background, and just seeing like parts of like different planets with like the vistas and the wildlife that you can see pop up in and out, and it's fast going, and it's just the momentum and joy that you feel from a Guardians film can just be well replicated through the experience of Space Mountain done in the theme of Guardians of the Galaxy.
Okay. Let's go for a ride, gentlemen.
Out of all the sci-fi franchises you chose, Laserdude, you chose the one that's an explicit critique of rampant capitalism, of humanity's contributions to pollution.
Sure did.
And you brought up the by and large thing. I think having Wall-E put into a roller coaster ride nearby where people buy overpriced concessions and all this stuff just feels like a dissonance and betrayal of the essence and heart of Wall-E as a franchise.
Well, by that logic, you wouldn't ever be able to do anything with Wall-E unless it was, hey, come plant a tree. But I think the thing is, like, I actually thought of Guardians of the Galaxy when I first read this question. I thought, Guardians of the Galaxy. But then I went and watched it online. And the thing I noticed about the ride, it is very dark, and most of it's in the black flying through space. So I thought, well, you can't really implement too many things in there. It's like you can do, look, there's a planet, and there's another planet. It's like, so I was like, what characters can you implement? And I thought you could put like Wall-E and Eevee on a track right beside the roller coasters, going up and down and around as you're going around it. And I feel like whether you're doing that with like physical objects or you're putting them on screen, I don't necessarily know how they would do it, but you could do that. It's very possible and easily to implement. Other than your ideas, like I don't even know how you do Guardians of the Galaxy, because most of it is just going to be in the lineup, and it's good to have stuff in the lineup, but beyond that, like what else are you doing? What is part of the ride that is actually part of the Guardians of the Galaxy? Or if you're like Wall-E, heck, even if you just put like a Wall-E on the back of the roller coaster, it'd be like him launching off from Earth, in the beginning of the movie.
Part of the ride is that it's going at a pace in which you see like Rocket and Groot go through those high points, and so it's a very fast-paced ride, and you see all these different like visual planets. And the thing is, with the way you describe your ride, it's pretty kind of like after the first time going, it just kind of feels a little bit lacking. Like, okay, you just see like Wally and Eve and going through just space or just by and large, these are kind of really basic settings and doesn't really excite or activate the like imagination of the average person in the way that like Guardians of the Galaxy is these very wide out, like disparate alien worlds. I mentioned about the certain CGI characters like Rocket, Groot, and Cosmo being in that in like this on the side, and all this and all the like unique alien creatures we've seen. There's a lot. There's just a lot.
It's just, the problem with those characters is they're stationary. Like, how are you going to implement them as part of the ride when you're just moving past them? Where, like, if you had Evie and Wally on a track, you could incorporate the music of Wally in that scene where they're dancing around the stuff. You could incorporate a bunch of different stuff like that into the film, and you could even have like the music of the movie. You could have a voiceover from the captain. I was even thinking in the lineup, you could probably have a mechanized Otto, the steering wheel villain from the movie, coming around and talking to people. You could definitely work that out in today's modern technology with robotics. Another layer to add on to the Wall-E franchise moving into this overlay. Where Guardians of the Galaxy, like, what are you actually going to do? What parts of the ride are you going to put them on?
I think the way I'm thinking about the ride, because I remember in seeing Space Mountain, there's just kind of people going through, and there is pitch black space, but I think you can populate that pitch black space with those planet vistas, with those characters kind of moving around the background. So it's kind of just you seeing like a full, maybe not complete 360, but just a side of like you experiencing Guardians of the Galaxy Adventure. And I think the thing is for your Wall-E thing, it's like, okay, you have like the idea of the animatronics and all that stuff. But I think just Wall-E, Eve, and like you mentioned about like the evil AI, but just like it just feels like, all right, we kind of, if you watch Wall-E, you can experience that. Whereas with Guardians, it's like you're experiencing not really just the films, you're experiencing just the world, the like environment that Guardians of the Galaxy films populated in. So it's kind of that like that ethos of like, are you going out to space? You're going to explore. I think just the way with the visuals of just like planet vistas, as you know, the different creatures, you have a variety, you have a lot of like interesting stuff to see. Whereas for you, it's just like, okay, you're in space and then you just have like two robots that like make cute noises at you, and that kind of, I think past the age of 6 is where it gets really old. Whereas with the Guardians of the Galaxy as a ride, you can have some of the music come in depending on what rights you can afford, and it's just like, all right, you love the Guardians movies, let's actually go through an adventure
you won't have time. Because I took a little bit of looking at the ride and I kind of timed it. It's about 2 minutes long. How are you going to have time to do anything with any of the Guardians characters?
And I think that's but because there's so much things, you kind of want to go on like multiple rides and like experience all like and take something new out of each time. That's kind of the uniqueness of the ride, is that like there's so much going on. You want to go multiple times to get all of what was there. That's the fun of it. Whereas, if you go to
where are they in the ride? I at least have a placement where like, where are Groot and Rocket and stuff like on the ride itself? They're like, where
so when you see space, like you'll see the vista, like you'll see where the planets are, and then like they'll be there just talking, interacting, and you'll have like the microphones or whatever like amplifying their dialogue, so you feel like you're with them. That's where the characters are. They're just like part of the background. And they're talking, you get to hear them. And I think for in this regard, like Guardians is such a like beloved franchise, and it has such different like characters, just different like things to watch. And because to point to the 2-minute ride, so for people that just like, oh man, I couldn't get everything. Now they wait in line and want to see it again.
So there's just a bunch of different characters talking all at the same time, just like we were in
round
one.
It's more just like they're talking and they're doing the typical Guardians action, funny humor thing, and you're speeding by, and
then they're into the next room. It takes like 10 seconds to go into the next area, at least give or take. And then you're on to the far part. Or at least for my thing, you could have like a thing where you go from the by and large into the dirtiness of the earth, into the rooms of the ruinedness, and then you go into space, and then you go into the action. Then you can see
from an extended Walmart to a junkyard, to basically a junkyard planet, to just space. That's like kind of, that doesn't seem really exciting to me. Like if I'm paying this,
that was the first Wall-E. It was exciting
all the different planets, all the different places that one could see when they go out on the stars. That's the allure. That's the dream of Space Mountains, that you go like infinity below, go beyond.
But I think the thing is, like, when you end the ride, you can end showing a little bit of the greenness of Earth. When you arrive, you can show, like, have a room where you show, like, hey, you can show the boot in the where it was planted and stuff like that, showing that, hey, it's not all worth it. It's not all commercialization. It's not all about the destruction that we left
describe it
behind.
as an
There is hope,
emotional
and that adds an
part
important thing other than
the world.
it's just
Like,
a
come
little thing.
on.
It makes it
Come
an
on,
important ride,
you
a
want,
message
like,
of a
to have that
ride,
little
rather
tag
than
at the
just.
end, kind of the little tags like, oh, we're playing trees, all that stuff. Like, come on, like I think it's if anything, that feels a little bit condescending and patronizing. Like, oh, we have this movie that's all about environmental consumerism, and it's used as an overlay for a freaking amusement park ride. Guardians of the Galaxy is a fun, rollicking time. I think the franchise itself, if you put it into an amusement park ride, it doesn't invalidate or just kind of like conflict with what I feel about what the franchise stands for, right? And I think in the way the ride's described, in terms of the different visuals, in terms of pacing.
So you're saying, like, businesses can't take a part in making the world better? They can't, even if it's a small part. They're not allowed to. So we can never make anything.
All right. Fair enough. Okay. Tiki, what say you?
I'm sorry. I'm gonna vote for Laserdude. And I think Rohit had kind of like a more realistic pick, but I think Laserdude laid out the attraction in a more realistic way. I really like the idea. I actually do like the idea of going from like the by and large into the destroyed Earth, and then having the ride is like, mostly taking place actually in space with the with the waltz and everything. I can really envision it, whereas I feel like Laserdude did a good job of kind of showing how Rohit would be a little bit more of a crapshoot. Also, I give you guys a ton of credit. Thank you for not bringing Cosmic Rewind into this for my own OCD sanity. I appreciate that. All right. But yeah, point to Laserdude for me.
Okay. Jacob.
All right. This is kind of an interesting one. I mean, as you guys know, I love both of these movies very, very much. Like, that's the reason I picked WALL-E as like one of the best films of the decade when we did that, when we did certain debates, and I'm always an advocate for it. And of course, Guardians is like my favorite franchise within the MCU itself. So this is obviously a very interesting and tough decision for me to make. But based on the actual picks, I'm going and what I mean is, based on the actual debate and arguments themselves, I'm gonna have to give my picks to Laserdude again. Laserdude, because he laid out like how the ride would actually work. I mean, Rohit made some good points about like the whole how the movie is like kind of anti-commercialism and all that, but then I think Laserdude kind of clinched it at the end when he was like what corporations can't say, like, we can make a stand, we can do better. I think they kind of nipped that whole thing in the bud. And beyond that, I think he overall laid out the layout better. How he turned the queue into by and large and actually highlights hey, this is happening to our world, and basically going on the adventure with WALL-E as well. Basically encompassing the first half hour of the movie, and I think he captured that in a very, very well manner. So my point goes to Laserdude on this one.
Well, at this juncture, my vote doesn't really matter, but for what it's worth, I think it's a clean sweep for Laserdude. Only in that, I think Rohit went for the desperate plea on this one. I think him attacking the environmental message was kind of like he really didn't. It feels like he didn't have much.
That was basically a straw man argument.
There you go. Yeah, I just felt like it. It's getting to a point. It got to a point, honestly, where it was like, it's like there are certain things like, yes, I mean, yes, it's kind of productive to like the environmental themes of Wall-E, but it's twofold in that one. It's a concession of like just doing anything in Disneyland. It's going to be an affront to the environment. Pretty much all of them. Secondly, just the fact that even Wally's more of a love story before it's an environmental thing, but the environmental thing is there, don't get me wrong, but again, it's not superseding all else that's there. So I think putting majority of your counterpoints, that resting it on like the environmental argument, may have been kind of a weak move. That's just my 2 cents. It doesn't really amount to a hill of beans, because the other two have voted Laserdude, so either or Laserdude gets that point. So it's 2-1.
All right. Could have been 1 to 1. It could have been 1 to 1.5.
Mm-hmm. Before we go to the coin, we have Z&K in the comments. He says, well, obviously the answer should be pigs in space.
Yeah.
And if Daft Punk is not on the table, which I totally realize it's not, I've had my dream of a Daft Punk Space Mountain for over a decade. If that's not on the table, then yeah, I think Pigs in Space would be a good substitute. He also says we all know Iger would never sign off on that, i.e., Rock and Roller Coaster not being replaced with Electric Mayhem. Oh, it makes too much sense. I mean, that really should happen, but. Anyways,
especially
all right. Yeah, exactly.
All right, gentlemen. I'm gonna look for that blasted coin once more. I'm gonna sift through this giant jar of coins until I find the right one, and we're gonna sit here until I find. What is it? R2. What? Wait a minute. I just realized something. R2 is a bank. And inside a bank, usually, there is a coin. So let's take a look-see.
You have an R2-D2 bank that makes noise?
Yeah.
Right. I had no idea.
See, and we have a coin! We found it!
Woo!
Like the plans of the Death Star had it the whole time!
I honestly had no idea. Wait, what was that?
That was my brother. I'm sorry.
That's fine. But I had no idea R2-D2 was a bank this whole time.
No, yeah, it's been a bank the whole time. Yeah.
All right.
It would have come up for coin talks happened.
All right, so let's offer this coin. Let's the spoils here go to the victor, and the victor is Laserdude, Laser Victor Dude. Man, what do you think? You want to?
Well, normally I wouldn't, and I know that this is going to go to Rohith if I don't.
Yeah, there you go. You get another.
But I think that right now, with Rohith's next point basically not counting, I think I'm in the best spot to flip it. So I'm going to flip the coin.
I do have a question. If Rohith does get heads, would that still only be half a point, and then would that invalidate like his next point? Or
No, the legalese is the next point that he. Well, Jacob, you tell me. The next point that he wins was the words. That means the point that he earns would be half, but that technically he would be earning it either way with the coin flip. So, Jacob, what do you think?
Let's just be fair and do it on the actual round.
Okay. All right. So, Laserdude, you say you want to flip it? No, you want to go flip?
I'm going to flip.
He's flipping out.
And I want heads.
Oh.
Womp womp.
It's back 1-1.
1-1.
Rohith, are you going to flip?
Nope. Well, no, he doesn't know. He doesn't get the flip, Jacob. It's only offered to the winner.
Wait. Okay.
Yeah.
But don't we also flip at the end of the third round, though?
Yeah, this is true.
You are right. Yes. Well, now again, I was thinking about the special coin, but you're right. Now that we have finished that, we are off. Now we're going to do it all over again. So, gentlemen, the cosmic coin. It's all yours. Who feels like flipping?
Oh my gosh!
Like Laserdude, you want to flip again?
No, I'm not. I'm not gonna be one of those gamblers like I'll win. I
Come
got
on,
work in my
lazy
house.
dude. Baby
I'm
needs a
not
new pair
doing
of
it. I
brown
just did it,
shoes.
and it blew up in my face. No.
Dude, that's just negative thinking.
All right, Rohit.
I will. You know, I think about this. I'm gonna say I'm gonna pass.
Ah,
Are
okay.
you sure? Let's see what would have happened had he.
All right, keep in mind, whatever this lands on, it will not affect any of your guys' scores.
Nope. Ah,
Looks like you guys should have flipped it.
which you know what that would have meant, right? You would have
You know what?
gained
Maybe
your
I should
half,
flip
and
you
then
something.
next one you
no,
won, you
I'm
would have
kidding.
been up again.
It's like, well, unfortunately, that leaves it at 1-1.
Yep.
Oh,
You
well.
can't retroactively change your answer. But that takes us into the speed round.
Of course, the way the speed round works, it's 30 seconds followed by a 15-second rebuttal. And also, audience, yes, I'm talking to you, audience. We're taking your questions, ideally with the sci-fi Disney theme, but we're taking questions and could be relevant Disney stuff as well recently, whatever you want. Just, if you want to pitch us some questions, we will use them, and we're going to test it out on these test monkeys. We're gonna give them these questions, and they're gonna argue their darndest. And based on their arguments, you, dear listener, are going to pick the winner. Who made the better argument? Their fates are in your hands. By your hands and your fingertips, type in who sold you and who won the argument. So yeah.
Not I would
All
ever
right.
do this, but I just realized I could make a fake account and then give myself questions. I'm not that petty. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been telling you this. But
I would know which accounts you're faking, and then when we do the arguments, I would just say, "Oh, row with the wins."
I mean, look, Laserdude, don't make me have to find you.
don't worry, I won't do that.
Remember,
I don't cheat because for me, it makes if you have to cheat at something that you're proving you're already not good enough.
And remember, Laserdude, Rohit's a lawyer.
Yep.
Do you really want to cheat when there's a lawyer nearby?
He will sue you.
I would love to see that court case. It's like, really, guys?
He cheated in our online games.
What were the stakes? Nothing but pride.
It'll probably be more of a People's Court episode, but
I'm in Canada. You can't touch me. I have diplomatic immunity.
So Hammer, you can't sue.
Okay. So remember, first to 5 points wins. Let's get things started.
And remember, it's back to 1-1.
Yep. And if Rohit gets the point, 1.5.
Oh,
You'll still be in the lead, though, technically.
You should have gone with the flip, Rohit.
I know.
Yep. Okay. So,
That's why it's called a gamble.
of course, it would have been really sad if Laserdude did not flip. That means Rohit would have gotten lost the points. The first
he
point
would have
would have been just half.
It would have been worse though if I didn't flip the first one. I did flip the second one. So it was up like 3-0.
Okay, enough of
didn't
the
happen.
silliness. You know what we need
what if-
right now?
You know what do we need, Dragon?
Muppet wheel.
Not a Muppet wheel. We need a wheel.
A wheel.
No, a wheel of Star Wars.
Oh, man.
Okay.
Now you will find on this wheel all 9 Star Wars films of the the true blue labeled Star Wars films. Now you spin the wheel, you win an answer, then you get a question. All right, so Laserdude, since you won, do you want us last round? Do you want to
Going
spin
first.
Okay, he's going
My-
first. He's got nothing
My
to lose.
first theory still prevails. I'm
Okay.
sure.
Well, it didn't work out this time, did it?
Nope.
Wait to hear the question, Laser dude.
Yeah. Well,
Well, that's the
see.
beauty of the wheel. You figure out your answer, and then you figure out the question. All right,
Let's
Dragon.
go for a spin.
Let's go for a spin.
Going for a spin.
This can be good or bad depending on how good or bad it is.
And the wheels of debate go round and round.
Hey. Please do not be best Star Wars film.
All right, that's the rise of The Laserdude has The Rise of Skywalker.
Oh,
Who
joy.
Who knows if this going first choice will work out this time?
I'm hoping it's what is the worst Star Wars film, because I can do that.
Again, had this been, had you passed it to Rohith Dhar.
We'll see.
All right, let's spin it again.
All right.
Whoop, and we're going big screen this time.
Why did I get the big screen? Okay.
I don't know, because I just figured out I can.
That's what these tests are for. Oh, it's
that.
yeah. Well, look kind of.
Oh man.
Oh boy.
You got back,
Oh god.
back to back. You got
Now,
back.
what's funny is neither of my co-judges here know what the question is. So
No, I don't. Yeah.
Dragon, will we need the
I'm
wheel
looking forward to
anymore?
this.
no, we won't need the wheel anymore.
All right, let's get to the timers. But first, the question.
Gentlemen, are you ready to have your minds
Yes.
blown?
Yes.
Okay. What would Buzz Lightyear's favorite Star Wars movie be? Now this is Toy Buzz from Toy Stories. And what if the toy of Buzz Lightyear just he basically grabbed the remote, watched some Disney Plus, and he put on the Star Wars movies? And apparently, according to both of you, I mean, Laserdude, you told me this in excess, that Rise of Skywalker is Buzz Lightyear's favorite Star Wars movie, and Rohith has mentioned many a time that that's The Last Jedi. So I think you should share it with the folks as to why this is the case, because I think we're all on the edge of our seats and wanting to know. So Laserdude, don't keep us in suspense any longer. Please tell us.
Well, obviously, The Rise of Skywalker is the best one for Buzz because it's a movie that is very simple-minded for someone like Buzz. Good triumphs over evil. The former Skywalker becomes a good guy at the end. They defeat an evil emperor, just like Buzz has always dreamed about doing in his universe. There's a lot of flying around. There is just a lot of good enjoyment action movies that you don't have to think too much about.
The Last Jedi is Toy Buzz Lightyear's favorite Star Wars movie because the Buzz Lightyear toy version has grown and changed throughout the Toy Story films, that he can appreciate nuance and maturity and seeing the differing perspectives and how Lucas failed and in the end triumphs in the way that works for him. He can appreciate the cinematography by Steve Yellin, the performances by Adam Driver and Daisy Ridley. He can appreciate the overall stakes with the Holdo maneuver, and it's an overall package that he can appreciate as a ranger and as a viewer cinema.
I think Buzz is having a hard time cheering for the crew in here because the good soldiers don't listen to their commander like a good space ranger do. They do mutiny. There's no trust in stuff, and the good guys are doing bad guys sort of stuff. It's just not a good movie where the good guys triumph doing good things.
The good guys teach mutiny. Woody did that to Buzz, and Woody is Buzz's best friend. Buzz is a grown person. He's changed. He's grown. He's seen the bigger picture. And The Last Jedi shows that even when soldiers mutiny, they come together for a bigger cause, hope.
Okay.
Excuse me.
All right, let's see. Okay, so based on this, I'm gonna say I was impressed with Laserdude's argument, but I think Rohith just kind of had him there with the whole pulling the Woody comparison there for like there's been betrayal, but it's part of life, and also honestly he really had me with the whole parallel to Luke's arc in The Last Jedi, because that does kind of reminisce about I'll go sailing no more kind of arc in the original Toy Story. So I'm gonna give it to Rohith on this one.
Sweet.
So he has 1.5 points.
He's in the lead.
Yes. And thus, your punishment has been fulfilled.
Yep. Okay. Next question.
Next question.
And again, remember, folks, again, we're taking those questions now if you want to submit them. Otherwise, we're just going to go through what we have pre-existing here. All right, Jacob, we're going to do a Muppet question. Do you want You want a Muppet question that is Marvel adjacent, or a Muppet question that is brand spanking new?
Like, brand spanking new as in earlier this month.
Well, brand spanking new is, and it was literally just kind of proposed today at the last minute. So,
It's like, well, I don't know the context of either one, so
okay, all right. All right, I'm just going to go with this because it's topic. Well, it's topical to this debate. All right, who should direct a pigs in space movie?
Oh, okay.
pigs in space.
I have a couple of joke answers that I really want to say, but I'm not going to because I know if I say them, that will be my answer.
Oh yeah, that's absolutely true.
Ooh. Crap, where's my phone? I have an idea, but I don't remember the name.
Brad Bird.
Okay.
Brad Bird. All right.
Sorry, I'm almost there. You know what? I'm gonna say James Gunn.
Okay.
Interesting picks.
All right, whenever you're ready, Rohit.
Brad Bird would be the best pick to direct a Pigs in Space movie because Brad Bird is a director that really appreciates nostalgia, as evidenced in the Iron Giant and the '60s aesthetic of the two Incredibles movies. And I think with Pigs in Space in being sort of a send up of Star Trek with like pigs, I think Brad Bird can have a lot of the comedy as evident in Rad 2. You can have a lot of the heart as in Incredibles and make a film that is a great family adventure film, but has a lot of meaning to it.
But I'm thinking about a director to direct Pigs in Space. It's got to be someone who can handle that silly tone perfectly. And I think James Gunn has proven that he's done it. And not mainly with the Guardians of the Galaxy's main movies. They have some silly moments to be sure, but I'm thinking about the holiday special. That's the one that handled outright over the top funny moments, even with a celebrity in Kevin Bacon, and show that he could handle it good, that would be leaving you warm and fuzzy on the inside, but also laughing on the floor. Perfect for Pigs in Space.
James Gunn's humor is a little bit more subversive and raunchy, whereas Brad Bird's humor is much more fitting with the family-friendly tone. And with Brad Bird, you can have a film that's on the level of the Lego movie, Puss in Boots, The Into the Spider-Verse. He's done that with The Incredibles, Ratatouille, and The Iron Giant. And James Gunn, I don't think can do that in animations yet.
I mean, let's be honest, Pigs in Space is not animation, they're puppets. And so you need somebody who has a better direction of the camera. And the only time that Brad Bird did live action, it didn't go to Tomorrowland, more like nobody remembers. So I think James Gunn has the better chance to make a live action Pigs in Space.
Okay.
All right. Okay, Tiki, this is all you, buddy.
My vote is for James Gunn.
Okay. All right, that means Laserdude gets the point.
Two things. One, technically, Brad Bird also directed Mission Impossible: Ghost Protocol. So,
That is true.
yeah. So he.
All right.
So he did actually.
I made you forget about that for a second.
So he actually has other live action directing experience besides Tomorrowland, and also the original Muppet Show. Not as raunchy as Gunn's some of other Gunn's movies. It does have a lot of adult humor in it. So that's all. That's my 2 cents on that. So sorry to be that. Well, actually, guys.
All right, 2 to 1.5 right now. That's where we're at.
All right, sorry. I just needed to say that.
Yep.
Here we go.
Okay, let's see. So, who's ready for a quick draw question?
Ooh.
Ooh.
Remember, we're gonna
I
say
have
wait until I
been
say
waiting.
both names to make your pick. All right.
Okay.
All right.
And
Here's
our,
the quick.
and,
Yeah,
our new format will make it easier to tell who said what first.
that's true. Okay, so keep an eye out, folks. All right. Who is the better space pirate, Yondu or Hondo?
Yondu.
Hondo?
Okay, so if I'm right, Rohith Dhar said Yondu first, didn't he?
Yes.
All right, that means Laserdude got Hondo. You know, if I'm remembering correctly, isn't it funny that I think Yondu and Hondo also have very similar last names, where it's Yondu Odanta and it's Hondo Anaka.
Yeah, it is kind of funny.
Yep.
I
Okay.
honestly think they get along.
Well,
Okay. I thought this was what I would have picked. I thought I was stuck with him because, but I got the name mixed up. But no, yeah, I'm glad because I know more about this guy.
All right, so timer will start when you guys are ready.
Oh, is it my turn? or-
yeah, Rohit, you're going to start
Sure.
off. You said he spoke first.
Remember, he who speaks first goes first.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Yondu is the better space pirate because he has a crew that is as vast and powerful as the Ravagers. He has recruited a wide variety of alien species. He's able to do mercenary jobs. He's able to, kick ass with his flying arrow. And he has a very great collection of troll dolls. And what could a pirate be beyond his treasures?
The reason Hondo is the better smuggler is because he's so disarming. You think he's just a silly guy, my friends, and you think, oh, this is just a silly little pirate guy, but he's going to help us, and then he'll rob you blind, and then he'll come to you next time and say, hey, I need your help with something, and you'll still go with him. That is the type of smuggler that has such charm and charisma that he will always make it through no matter what. He disarms you, you think you have everything under control, and next thing you know, he's leaving with your loot, and you'll still work with him next time.
Yondu has better style, has greater looking ships, and part of a pirate is swagger. Part of a pirate is image. And Yondu has it in spades with his blue skin, his red flying arrow, his red jacket is simple. Yondu has little.
You know what Yondu doesn't have? A crew, because they all turned on him because he was too weak and always giving stuff up to Quill because he was too emotionally invested. Hondo doesn't have that problem. He will steal from you with a smile on his face and stab you in the back if he needs to, but he doesn't need to because he's so talented.
Jacob, what's the ruling?
Oh boy, this is interesting. Both are very good pigs, and I love both Yondu and Hondo for various reasons, of course. And of course, you guys basically nailed both of them to a T, except for the fact that Laserdude. I mean, it was. I don't know if it was Laserdude, but specifically for one of you guys, specifically for Nick, forgot to mention that Yondu ended up also killing his crew, and that's another reason why he doesn't have them. So there's that. Anyway, I'm going to have to give my point to Rohit. I think he argued his point more articulately.
All right, so it's 2.5 to 2.
I mean, it was a tough choice, though. Trust me.
Okay.
I would Hondo. We all know we love Hondo around here.
That is true.
My friends.
You've been here before.
You've been here before. Okay. All right, let's see.
So that's 2 to 2.5.
Okay, we're going to try a challenging one here. I have no idea if this is going to work. I'm just going to go for it. Okay. in light of this Disney Plus purge, which is breaking all our hearts right now, and hopefully it's not going to get worse, but I don't know. In the midst of all the casualties, of the most notable casualty of the purge, uh, I want you guys to pitch a premise. You just need to pitch a premise. Like give me like a sell, or you know, to lay out like a whole idea. I just want a quick like I want you to like foot in the door premise pitch for a new Jeff Goldblum show for Disney Plus. Now, before we had the world according to Jeff Goldblum, what should the new show be?
I have a question just to make sure.
It can be anything.
Okay, any genre, any type of TV
Can
show.
be any, so long as Goldblum's the lead. He's the same. Could be a reality show. Could be a non-reality show. Could be animated. Could be anything. So long as it's the show and it's on Disney Plus.
As long as it's not like a big carbon copy of World According to Jeff.
Exactly. It can't be that. They can't just be the same thing too. So it's got to be something that's not the world according to Jeff Goldblum. Stars Jeff Goldblum and his series.
It could even be another Nat Geo show.
Sure.
I'm gonna pitch Jeff Goldblum trying to see answering the question: is there alien life out there?
Okay.
I will pitch a National Geographic show about the cosmos, the Goldblum in the galaxy.
All right. Okay, Laserdude, whenever you're ready.
There's a lot of shows out there that are trying to see, are there aliens among us? But I feel like Jeff Goldblum could add a little layer of gravitas to it because he has that very, very important voice that makes you pay attention to him. But also, he's the fact that he was in Independence Day, and so you have that sort of star quality, that alien connection right there. You can have some fun with it with that regard. But on the main point, you would have guests on talking about the possibilities, possible UFO sightings. You could have animations doing it while he narrates that. You can just have a whole lot of fun with it.
Goldblum the Galaxy, as a National Geographic show, is a spiritual successor to the likes of Carl Sagan's Cosmos, to Neil deGrasse Tyson's work, and you have a magnetic actor like Jeff Goldblum who just has an innate curiosity and just wonder about everything, that for an audience to see the cosmos, like stars, black holes, like and wormholes, and it's just the asteroid belt, and Jeff Goldblum just having excitement, having joy in it, would just be enchanting and reinforce the value of National Geographic in the lives of Disney Plus traffic.
All right, you're misusing your Jeff Goldblum. Do not use Jeff Goldblum as a narrator. The guy does not have the voice for it. His voice is very, very, very stuttering and very personable, but not good for narrating. Narrating would not be the best thing for a National Geographic style.
You're making a mockery of Jeff Goldblum by having him just rehash like a one movie that he did in the 90s by focusing on aliens. It's like Jeff Goldblum is a serious actor, and we should focus on serious matter, which is space, knowing the cosmos, knowing where do we come from. And I think it would be a great successor to the likes of Carl Sagan.
Okay. Tiki, around?
Not really.
Okay. All right. Okay, I guess I'll judge this one. All right. Well, guys, it's a tough one for sure. I think we have two very solid picks here, but I'm gonna have to. I think Laserdude had a really good argument against the whole narrator thing. I think he really kind of laid it out. I mean, I'm on the fence because we've heard Goldblum narrate, but very briefly in the world of Jeff Goldblum. He's been fine, but still like a sustained, like a Cosmos style thing. It would kind of waste the Goldblum, as he puts it. So I don't know, between that and between just the pitch itself, like alien life, which feels like, you know, kind of like a little in the weeds, a little like kind of like a weird thing for Goldblum to do, you know, which does have kind of a cute kind of like there's a viability in Jeff Goldblum and aliens. Like if you looked them up, you would find those two categories like together with the Independence Day. But all I gotta go Laserdude on this one.
All right.
So that's
3 to 2.5.
Yep, 3 to 2.5. All right, next question. Which Disney movie needs, emphasis, needs Rocket Raccoon? As in which, like, retroactively, what Disney movie do you add Rocket
Zootopia.
Raccoon into? All right, Laserdude says Zootopia.
Zootopia.
Lilo and Stitch.
Ooh.
Okay, Rohith Dhar says Lilo and Stitch. Remember, you're just adding them to it, okay? We're not necessarily recasting. We're throwing them in there.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, whenever you're ready.
I think Zootopia has a whole lot of fun with a character like Rocket amongst the group. You could be a third wheel with the characters. Like, he's somebody maybe in the underground, because I feel like Rocket is in the world of Zootopia. He's up to some nefarious, no good deeds, but probably doesn't like that predators like him are being marginalized and are being hunted against. And so he probably doesn't appreciate that. So he's going with the group. You would have a little bit like Nick be like, whoa, okay, Rocket, you're going a little bit too far here. We just need to find out what's going on here. We don't need a flipping bazooka. It would add a little good fun to the dynamic.
Rocket Raccoon being a lone mercenary that's on the hunt for Stitch and Lilo Stitch would add to the comedy. He would have very fun interactions with the natives, with people of Hawaii. He would have some fun antagonist relationship with Jumbo and Agent Bleakley, and in him seeing the arc of what Stitch being loved and being accepted and not even be a monster would parallel with Rocket's own feelings of being like a monster, and thus making feel more like a human being and more like a person.
The biggest problem, I think Stitch and Rocket are too similar. Both have been experimented on. Both didn't choose to be the way they were. And I feel like at that point, you might as well just replace Stitch with Rocket at that point. Is like their stories are exactly the same. So it's like there's not much differential.
The thing is, Rocket fits in a sci-fi world, and Lilo Stitch is a sci-fi movie, whereas Zootopia, he would just stand out awkwardly, and he's not an animal that just, like, can interact with regular city. He needs to do big sci-fi things, and Lilo Stitch is the great environment to make that work for him.
I know where I'm leaning on this one.
Well, Jacob, you get to call this one.
Okay, I'm calling for Rocket.
All right.
He basically pointed out how Rocket would operate in that world, and I think actually,
as soon as you said Lilo and Stitch, I was like, "Oh crap!"
and
That's the better pick.
And Laserdude, like, even saying like if their stories are similar, that could add a parallel to the story as well. I said that actually kind of helped Rohit in a way.
See, a part of me was really
What?
hoping Laserdude was going to say Bambi, but it didn't happen.
Oh boy!
I would have loved if I think a funny answer would be Hercules, where like Rocket shows up and it's like just pushes Phil aside and it becomes Hercules' mentor.
That would be funny.
Now listen here, you squirt.
It was a bad like
Treasure Planet probably would have worked better. He could have moved from the pirate side to the good guy side multiple times.
I was imagining if
well.
he did show up in Bambi, like when man strikes, he would not take it lying down.
It's like, yeah, that would be a very different movie.
Yeah. We'd
like-
be going Guardians Volume 3 on that movie.
Rocket takes Bambi and is like, "You want to find who killed your mom? Come with me."
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Be the revenge quest of Rocket Raccoon. They're going to find man. Man's
Forget
going to
your
be played.
dad. He's a dick.
And man's going to be played by Christopher Lloyd.
It's like, I'm the one who killed Bambi's mother.
Yep. Okay.
Oh God.
All right. Let's see.
3.5 to 3.
That is correct.
Now the half point's coming in handy.
Yep. Okay. Let's see. Well, remember, even if he gets like 4.5, he's nice.
I know, but technically it does give him a bit of an edge here.
True. Okay. Okay, here's a Star Wars question. Well, kind of.
Alright.
Which droid in Star Wars do you recast with Wall-E?
BD1.
Wait.
Or no, sorry, not BD1. What's the BB? What the circle droid in?
BB-8.
Laser.
BB-8.
No.
BB-8.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, BB-8.
BB-8,
I was just replaying Star Wars.
Jedi Survivor,
No, the other one,
Jedi Fallen Order,
Fallen Order. Yeah, I was playing Fallen Order, so BD1 popped into my mind. I meant to say BB-8.
Dragon.
Should we? That's the thing. Should we count it?
Let's just give it to him.
Oh, all right.
It was an honest
I
mistake.
think you said Star Wars film.
That is true. BD1, that even though BD's version has appeared in The Mandalorian, never been in a movie. So let's go. So BB-8.
All right.
Next slip up, Laserdude. You'll have to stick with what you said.
Fair enough, understandable.
We're gonna watch you drown, ladies.
As Spider-Man said, you only get one.
Yep. All right. Rohith,
Oh, this is gonna be a tough one.
you got a lot to pick from, though.
Yeah. And it's just in a Star Wars movie, correct?
Yeah, it looks like we're going with media on this one. So
Okay. Let me just.
I mean, we'll include the TV shows if it helps. We'll include the TV shows, but that's just media, though.
Yes.
Ooh.
You can go with like something from Mandalorian or
Yes. The droid that's in the 3rd season. That's the cowardly droid.
Wait, really? You forgot his name?
R4. I remember R4.
And he screwed up BB-8.
Yeah, and I couldn't give it the correct answer. Give me some latitude.
I mean, Rohith, R4. He had the bad
R4,
motivator.
yeah. I replace R4 with Wally.
Okay.
Okay, it's BB-8 versus the droid who's it's BD-1 versus the droid without a name.
I pray the Star Wars. I pray the
Oh,
judge, as a Star
Yeah,
Wars
that's
fan, that Rohith goes up against.
Well, listen here, for you. It's BD-1 versus the droid no one remembers the name of.
Yeah.
All right,
Okay.
and that was I was just making a joke. I wasn't being serious.
Yeah. I'm ready. I'm ready when you get there.
I'm ready when you are.
Well, yeah, Laser, it's you when you speak.
I know. I was just making sure that we're not. And I didn't start talking, and you weren't even.
Okay.
My finger's literally on the timer right now.
When I was thinking about which one would Wally fit in, it needs to be a droid of similar size. You're not going to replace it with C-3PO or any of the bigger droids like that, but you're not going to replace R2-D2 or any of the more iconic droids like that. So I thought BB-8 is the one that is the right size, the same sort of function. Wally can totally utilize everything. We've seen that Wally has a laser. We've seen Wally use scans. We've seen all these different things that Wally has, and I think that makes BB-8 the perfect replacement. Him the perfect replacement.
All right, Rohith.
Considering what R1 does in the 3rd season of Mandalorian, where he explores sort of the barren landscape of Mandalore, considering what Wally's gone through exploring the barren landscape of Earth, this will actually be familiar ground for him. And considering how expressive Wally is, he can have that imitation of cowardliness, but also interest in seeing all the crystals and just unique underground structure of Mandalore. And it would have a very fun interaction with both Din and the Foundling.
You're avoiding saying the name now.
Look, you're not going to get penalized again. Okay, you can say the kid's name if you want. However, I will make a point of saying it's not R1, it's R4.
R4.
All right,
He
get it right.
He made an argument for a completely different droid. Have it.
All right.
All right, one more outburst, Laserdude, and I will start the timer.
Fair enough. I think the biggest problem is like Wally and R4's personality are completely different. R4 is a coward. He's totally scared. He blew his own motivator because he didn't even want to go on an adventure sort of thing. And I feel like Wally is very curious and very open, which fits him replacing BB-8 more.
my problem with your pick of replacing Wally with BB-8 is that they're kind of anything similar. I think with Wally replacing R4, Wally had something new to the experience and has a unique interaction with Din and the child in Mandalore.
I gotta admit, boys, not your best.
Yeah.
Because I kind of heard the same argument from both sides, and obviously Laserdude. Well, sorry, Laser. You kind of missed like one of the great things of the fact that you I'm sorry, I just now realized that technically Ben Burt. I was gonna make the argument that Ben Burt, doing the voice of Wally, and I think I was going to say he was BB, but I think technically Bill Hader is actually the voice of BB. It's kind of like a weird factoid. So I guess you can throw my whole point that I was going to say. Like, you could have brought up that he was the voice of him too. He would have had like Wally and BB-8 actually were the same voice, but you can forget that. I'm thinking out loud right now. Sorry about that, guys.
I thought
Anyway,
I thought it was Ben Schwartz that did the voice for BB-8.
You know, it's weird. I could have sworn I heard it was Bill Hader, but I mean, you. I don't know if you're right about that or not. I just heard that's not Ben Burt, but then again, it's like the whole electronic sounds thing. But yeah, go on.
I don't know who voices which droid.
Other than Laser, you're fine. I was just thinking out loud. I just realized the following what I was
clarify,
thinking.
Blue Dragon, it's both Bill Hader and Ben Schwartz.
Ben Schwartz was listed as a consultant, and Bill Hader is modulated via synthesizer.
Okay. Wait, who's the synthesizer?
The synthesizer is Bill Hader, and Ben Schwartz was a consultant.
Okay. They seem to be both credited as both like. Okay, that's besides the point. All right.
Anyway, okay. The point being, Jacob, I'm gonna let you call this one.
Okay. I guess my this is kind of a rough one. As you said, it's kind of both not good points, but I guess in terms of like, I'll go with Laserdude.
All right, Laserdude. That's 4 to 3.5. Laserdude might win this one.
I want to win here, so Rohit can't say, if only I had that half point.
Yeah. Okay. So, who's ready for a second Muppet question?
I'm ready.
All right.
You're not even. We're ready.
Given Howard the Duck's resurgence in the MCU, mainly through Guardians of the Galaxy, which Muppet should co-star in a Howard the Duck movie?
I'm going to say Gonzo.
Gonzo. All right, Gonzo.
And the Eagle.
All right, Sam Eagle. Yeah. Hey, Jake, can you move me
Take
over?
Howard the Duck and Gonzo. Oh, sorry.
Jake,
I didn't say anything yet.
Jake, can you move me over a little?
Hold on just a
The
second.
non-symmetry is driving you crazy, Drake?
No, it's not driving me crazy. It's just kind of occurring to me now. Like, yeah, we do have that open space over there.
Is
There
that
we go.
better?
Better. Okay, sorry. Yeah. So now, whenever you're ready.
It's like the urinal situation. You don't want to be beside the person if at all possible.
God.
Anyway.
There we go.
See, at some point we're gonna play all these podcasts for the bundle of joy that's showing up. We're just gonna let her judge your father.
All right, let's get it on.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. I think Howard the Duck and Gonzo make a good foil. Howard the Duck is a little bit of a curmudgeon, a little bit of a down type of guy, always drinking, always like, I don't want to do it. And then Gonzo is an over-the-top type of, hey, let's have some fun. Let's go on adventures. Let's do this. So I think their parallel going off of each other would work really good as like a buddy film of like the cynical guy and the optimistic guy back to back. It works great for the comedy. And also Gonzo getting into big scrapes and Howard having to get him out of it would just be perfect.
Sam Eagle and Howard the Duck would be a great buddy cop duo because the thing is, while they may seem both curmudgeonly, there's a difference in the curmudgeonness. Is that Howard the Duck is a cynical curmudgeon, whereas Sam the Eagle is a stoic, noble curmudgeon. And there's the tensions about, Sam the Eagle wanting to make Howard the Duck be by the book, and Howard the Duck trying to make Sam the Eagle realize of the reality situation. There's great tension in like optimism or by the book versus like play by their own rules and all that stuff. And that's great buddy cop films.
So my thing is optimist versus cynical, and yours is cynical versus a different type of cynical. I also just don't really get what they're butting off of each other. I see that they wouldn't like each other, but I don't see how in my thing they would eventually get to that point of liking each other.
The thing is with Howard the Duck and Gonzo, they would just not have anything to be in common with. Whereas Sam the Eagle and Howard the Duck, they're curmudgeonly, but they have different purposes they're curmudgeonless, so they kind of bond that way, and they clash ideologically, optimism versus cynicism, whereas Gonzo's just too crazy.
Jacob, where are you leaning on this?
Honestly, a Rohith on this one for me.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I'm inclined to agree with you, mainly I'm on the fence because I agree with Rohit's points. By the same token, though, Rohit really didn't have a response for the whole Sam Eagle thing. He was deflecting big time on that one.
That is true, but I still think overall he made the better argument.
All right, okay, I think we're going to give it to Rohit.
All right.
So it's 4.5
to 5. 4.5 to 4.
Yes, 4.5 to 4. So
if you want to give me that 5, that'd be fine.
If only Rohit had the other half of his point right now.
I know.
That gives us one more round. Okay, here we go.
It always comes down to the wire with us, Rohit.
I know.
You guys are just that good. And also because one of you guys took a gamble and the other one didn't take a gamble.
Yep.
Well, that's true. I would have won too if I didn't flip that stupid coin.
Yep.
It's like, oh, look at that. It's the consequences of my actions.
Yikes.
Right. Okay, boys. Here's the big money question. Here we go. Here's a topical question.
Half tiebreaker, I guess.
Yeah. So there's a question of perspective. Okay, this is going to be unique ones. Basically, you're going to argue a yes or no on this. Okay, so wait till I finish the question, then someone's going to say yes or no. All right.
Yes.
So it's kind of like a quick draw.
No.
Okay.
All right. So basically, much like Mando, yes, no, that sort of thing.
Yes,
right.
Yes.
It's Rohit's favorite character.
No.
Okay.
You can say his name, Rohit.
It's okay. He won't hurt you. It's okay. He won't force choke you.
I hear if you say his name 3 times, he'll appear right to you.
And he's adorable. So, in light of the Star Wars hotel debacle, that being basically going belly up, should Galaxy's Edge, Batu, the existing park, should Galaxy's Edge be themed to a different planet? Yes or no? Like, should it be rethemed to a different planet, or should they keep Batu? Like, yes, keep it. No. So I guess. Yes or no? Should it be like? Should we change the existing planet right now for Galaxy's Edge?
I vote we should change it.
All right.
I'll go on the other side, I guess, but I need a little bit more context of what this is.
Yeah, so it's the Star Wars. It's like the Star Wars land at both Disney parks they got right now. It's Galaxy's Edge.
When I was there, they didn't have that, so I haven't kept up with.
All right, it's
I
the whole Star Wars themed land, but it's called Batu. So they came up with this. I believe I don't know if they Jacob, did they pull from an actual existing thing, or did they come up with it from scratch?
Batu was created for Galaxy's Edge.
Okay, it was.
They eventually incorporated it into other media.
Yeah, because they're trying to promote the park. So essentially,
including a VR game called Tales from the Galaxy's Edge.
Because all you need to know is they basically, instead of like using an existing Star Wars planet, they came up with an original one, and this was like done at launch. They kind of give the parks like an edge. So the question is, do we
A Galaxy's Edge,
Yes, do we?
and also because they didn't want to have one that have like create somebody's favorite park and favorite planet, and then other people would be disappointed.
Got it. So basically, Batu is a one that they've made up. And has it appeared in Star Wars media
No.
since?
Mm-mm. Well, again, not official media. It hasn't been in any of the shows or any of the animated stuff. Nothing.
Yeah,
but it has appeared in it's appeared in books. It's been in like a game. It's been referenced.
Like comics and games, but not really.
Which wait, was Batu? Yeah, that's one of the planets in Fallen Order, right?
You think it's Survivor? Actually, is it? In?
Oh, wait.
Hold on.
Is it? Let me just. I just want to know everything I can going into this.
Like, I don't think Jedi I think it's Bantu that's on. It's in.
Yeah, I think that's it. Yeah. It's in the High Republic stuff.
Yeah, I think it's
okay. Yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready to go.
All right, I got the timer.
Again, Rohit's going first with why they should change it.
Okay. Galaxy's Edge should change to a different planet because Batu as a planet isn't really anything special. It's a planet that was made specific for the park, and as such, it's only specific to the park. The value of seeing Star Wars played out in real life is that you watch the movies, you watch the shows, you play the games, you read the comics, read the novels, and you see it just in a tactile environment you experience. Batu has not been really referenced in much significant Star Wars media, and as such, there's really not much value to it. I think a new planet can bring in a new audience and some fresh eyes onto the park.
I think the reason you want to keep it this sort of new planet is because every other planet is limiting in what you can do. Do you do, Mustafar? Well, I hope you got lava. Do you Tatooine? I hope you got a whole lot of sand. Do you do any of these other planets? I hope you have that one specific element that is about them. Where this one allows you to enjoy the Star Wars universe in a new way, to experience it in a way that is specifically just for this part, and that adds a whole lot of more creativity that you can do with it and have fun with, and then eventually maybe this get implemented in another series.
I think in my mind, it's that you can have Endor, you can have Naboo, you can do Coruscant, you could just do there's plenty of planets that can be realized in Galaxy's Edge. Batu just doesn't have anything of value. There's no iconic storylines, there's no characters from there, there's no fun moments in there. It's just a planet that's made for the park, and it's just kind of limiting and dull in that respect.
You can have like a few extra seconds since I didn't hit the timer on time.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Okay.
I'll give you like 18 seconds. When you're ready.
I think the thing is that every other planet is limiting. So if you do Tatooine, then you've got like a couple of classic locations, but you can't do anything else. You are limited to what was on that planet. Where you make your own planet, you can do other things. You can bring other characters. You can do anything you want to because it's your own thing. You have control of it. You can do what you want with it.
All right. So Dragon.
Well,
you'll call this one.
Okay. All right, well, would you like to share your thoughts before I make the decision, Jacob?
No.
All right, fine. Okay, well,
you made me do like the last three, so this is all you.
Well, it's not like we're a little short-handed right now.
I know, Dragon. I know.
So, here's what I'm coming down on it. I think Rohit started strong, but I think Laserdude did find kind of a second wind, pointing out, like, hey, there's a lot of limitations with these other planets. And that it would be really hard to realize them. And there's untapped potential in Batu. And I mean, frankly, I'm a little surprised by it myself because I didn't really hear Rohit give a lot of examples of you can pull direct. Jacob, you didn't hear we could pull directly from Mando come out of Rohit, did you?
Not really.
Yeah, I'm not saying that was a specific thing he had to say, but just like I didn't really hear a lot of you didn't hear a lot of examples either, right?
Nope.
That's what I thought.
The
So
example
honestly,
of what?
well, just examples of like if we're gonna change it, like what?
Yeah, I said examples. I said Endor, Naboo, and Coruscant.
Okay.
You know what? I am inexplicably changing my mind right now.
Whoa! You can't just change your mind with adding stuff after the debate's over.
I didn't add it. I said it in the debate. Rewind the tape.
Yeah, but the fact that he didn't hear it is not
No,
like
it's like
that's
I
up to
said it.
him.
If you ask the audience, they'll say, "Did I say those answers?" I did say those. I did mention.
And I said in my debate how like those were
No,
like
no,
at
you
least
didn't.
a few
You
of
didn't
those. I
respond to my
said
question.
So you did. So Blazer, did you just confirm that he said it?
There you go.
Alright.
All right, so
You congratulations, you played yourself.
by a narrow margin, look, in all seriousness, guys, it is. I was imagining it would have been more one-sided, but actually, I think you both made really good points. But I think I'm leaning towards by a narrow margin because it really did actually make the examples I was really looking for some versus just like the point of like there's some places you can't do, which is kind of wasted spelling out the obvious. Like you can't do this, you can't go do a lava planet, you can't do the extreme stuff that we've done in Star Wars, but like the big city stuff you could do. And we haven't. So I'm gonna rule in the favor of Rohith Dhar on this one. So
And that means Rohith Dhar wins
with 5.5 points.
Thank you for coming in there, Laserdude, and admitting that. And when I made when I countered that, basically, he's like, "Well, you're just trying to say that he didn't say it, but then you admitted that he did."
well, I mean, I wasn't gonna lie and say that he didn't say it.
but you basically admitted that he did say it.
Yeah.
Which only proved Dragon's point. So.
Well, you guys could have looked back at the play. Is it just a fun debate? I don't mean to get it so over the top with this stuff.
All right. Well, did you have fun, guys?
Yeah, I think it was certainly. It was funny. It's funny in thinking back to the first three questions. I feel like I feel like Laser should have won the second round, and then I should have won the first round. But I think the way
honestly, I thought the same thing. I was like, "Oh, I'm winning this." Okay.
Oh,
and then the second one was like, "Make better points." Gosh darn it! But it's personal opinions and whatnot.
No, the theme park ones, I'm just not as well versed or into the theme park world, so those are kind of my weaker questions.
Yeah, me too.
Those are the Muppet ones. Also, the Muppet ones, I'm kind of 50-50 on.
All right. Well, it brings us to the end.
I'm never flipping that coin again, just so you know.
Oh, well, remember, you might not have an option on that.
If it's my choice, I'm not.
Oh, you know the allure of the coin, my friend. You know it's going to call you. You're going to be riding high. You're going to be thinking, what could I possibly lose? You're going to be so desperate. It's like,
I will resist the call to the dark side.
I really need the help. I need that edge. It's going to be an itch under your skin. You're going to need the flip. You're going to feel it in your fingers, boy. You're going to need the flip.
What if you're just making this coin out to be like this freaking the ring from Lord of the Rings, man?
Oh, for sure. There's a hypnotic kind of ringing within the ring and in the subconscious that's going to make you want to.
Sean Bean is going to die because of this coin.
What if your opponent has 3 points in the opening and your only chance to get a point in is...
Well, that makes sense because there's no negative.
To quote the Emperor, he'll be mad with power.
So yeah, you just admitted you will flip the coin only in extreme circumstances. Then.
Only in extreme circumstances.
Yeah, see, you've already doubled back.
And I've yet to come out of the 3 debates without at least 1 point.
It's winning.
God,
anyways,
it was up with you, man.
All right.
I think we all need some sleep.
All right, that brings us to the end. I want to thank the lovely commenters who showed up. We had Z&K Channel, we had Slasher Fred, and we had Theme Park Priest, and some guy who abandoned us. So that brings us to the end. Thank you, gentlemen, for showing up. Hope you had. Yeah.
Dragon, be nice.
All right, fine. And Tiki. But yeah, I want to thank the judges who were here. We had Jacob, we had Tiki, and of course our wonderful players, Rohith Dhar and Laserdude. Thank you for this belated, this belated celebration of Guardians and Star Wars. And yeah, that's all she wrote. Until next time.
All right.
Bye.
Good night, everybody.
Hooked on a feeling burning down.
Tune in next time. No, tune in next time. Will Laserdude flip the coin?
Probably.
It's gonna be a no.
Will we get into a shouting match? Probably as well.
Yes.
Probably.
Probably. It seems to happen all the time.
Well, we'll be here to intervene. Good night.